Hi, good afternoon. You're with your stocks. I'm Sunera Abdi. With me is Nigel D'Souza, and it's turning out to be a good afternoon after many days. So as we speak, the market is virtually at the highs of trade. It's about 100-point gain for the Nifty. The Sensex is up over 300 points as we speak. We're closing in on that 74.50 mark. Actually, we did go above that to 74.60 roundabouts is the highs of the day. The mid-cap index, just a tad bit of outperformance coming in from there, but nevertheless across the board the going is good. Banks have seen a big recovery intraday, so that's looking well as well. Europe has opened on the front foot this afternoon, so about 1.5% to 2% in terms of gains over there. And remember, yesterday the US market was shut as well, so that'll be opening after a gap of about 3 days, so after Friday. So the Dow futures too are indicating a move to the upside. Hi Nigel.
Hi Sumera. Really, I think it's a bounce from those oversold territories that we saw earlier. So the Nifty has moved to the high point of the day. Tata Motors, I think in the last hour or so, that stock has done quite well. So just pull up Tata Motors. And the point that Sumera made about the broader markets, the mid-cap index was doing a relative underperformance for the first couple of hours of trade. But now, in fact, it's doing a relative outperformance. A few stocks that are doing quite well. Boca, just take a look at the intraday chart. That stock, in fact, has moved high in the last hour or so. Ajanta Pharma as well should be up for you on the screen. At one point of time, that stock was seeing selling pressure. And Divi's Laboratory as well, looking quite good in the last few minutes. A fair bit of stocks that are moving around. The mid-cap index as well, still holding on to some gains as we speak. We have some news coming in that Ramco Systems has signed an agreement with Far East Asia, I think. So just pull up that stock. I think that's some incremental news flow that's come in the last few minutes. But the Nifty, I think, has slipped suddenly a tad bit. So let's see whether or not there are a few stocks that have come in for some profit booking. I think Bank of Baroda, that stock has slipped in the last few minutes. So let's get that up for you. And I think SBI as well, from the top of today, that stock as well has come off, though we're still holding at around the 7,440 odd mark. In fact, Bank of Baroda, that's a sharp decline that we're seeing. SBI as well has come in for a bit of a knock. And Asian Paints, after moving to the green, it slipped yet again. Alarming move today. Good numbers. Stock started off in the red. It did a bit of recovery, but suddenly, in fact, it's dipped close around 1% in the last few minutes. But let's kickstart the show then. We have our two guests. We have Mayuresh Joshi of Angel Broking, as well as Nuresh Mirani of Asia Market Securities, who joins us this afternoon. Hi gentlemen, thanks so much for joining in. Good to see both of you all in on this green day, because we have all the three frontline indices that are trading in the green. So let's get straight to our callers who are standing by. We have Mr. Sinha, who calls us from Jamshedpur. He has investments in SBI. Hi Mr. Sinha, good afternoon. आपका सवाल क्या है?
मेरे पास स्टेट बैंक है. हम 256 में लास्ट ईयर लिए थे
जी,
जो जुलाई महीना में
जी.
तो हम जानना चाहते कि इसका क्या फ्यूचर है. हम 1 साल होल्ड कर सकते हैं.
Okay, fair view then coming in there. Mayuresh, he wants to hold it for another year. He's held it for some time. Unfortunately, SBI at sub 200 rupees. I don't know whether it's mouth watering or not, but for a 1 year time perspective, do you think he should hold on to it?
Afternoon, Nigel. Clearly, I think with a year's perspective, he can hold on to a stock like State Bank of India. Yes, I think there has been pain in the banking industry as a whole, and issues largely plaguing the industry would be how asset quality will pan out, specifically on the PSU side. But having said that, probably, I think if you go by the past quarter numbers for State Bank specifically, I think the asset quality has held up pretty well for them. So again, on the kind of a balance sheet size that they probably possess, the kind of GNPAs that they report are probably very much in line with their past records as well, and we still expect asset quality to be extremely stable in this quarter and the next. So I think within the PSU lot itself, I think State Bank probably stands out as far as the asset quality concerns are being played out. And clearly, I think the capital adequacy ratio also is extremely strong. So at 12.2% CAR, I think it is one of the better equipped public sector banks. Add to that the CASA ratio in excess of 40%. Also, you're probably looking at the restructured pipeline of 6,600 crores that the management had put out in the quarter gone by. So if you put that plus the restructured assets as a percentage of total advances, they still stood somewhere around 8.05% compared to 8.85% in the quarter of the previous year. So clearly, I think there are signs of State Bank actually showing healthy signs in terms of growth, credit expansion, in terms of credit costs remaining quite manageable. The other fee-based income, apart from treasury, I think even that aspect is doing exceedingly well for State Bank. Now, if you adjust the value of subsidiaries close to 44, 48 odd rupees, it is is trading at very attractive valuation. So clearly, I think hold on to the stock. It might test your patience over the next 2 quarters. With a year's time horizon, probably I think the stock should be able to exceed your cost price.
All right, that's the word on SBI. Up next, we have Ashwin Kumar, who's on the line with us from Chennai. Hi, Ashwin. How can we help you?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, ma'am. I have actually Reliance Industries 1071 5000 क्वांटिटी, लेकिन मुझे ये महीना के अंदर
5000 क्वांटिटी.
हाँ मैम.
ओके, बताइए.
मुझे लेकिन ये महीना तक रहना है, मंथ एंड तक रहना है, इसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए उसके लिए?
ओके, ठीक है. आज रिलायंस के अर्निंग्स भी हैं. वैसे आज शाम को 4:30-5 बजे. तो हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि अर्निंग्स काफ़ी अच्छे होने चाहिए. जो ग्रॉस रिफाइनिंग मार्जिन है, जो की पैरामीटर है एक्चुअली इनको जज करने के लिए, वो काफ़ी अच्छे $12 पर बैरल की उम्मीद है, जो कि पिछले क्वार्टर में सिर्फ 10.5 के आसपास था. बट Nuresh, let me come to you on this because his time horizon is only for the next 1 month and he is already making quite a bit of a loss actually on Reliance. So what would you advise him to do, at least in the short term? Should he just remain invested?
So if we look at Reliance Industries, the stock gave a short-term breakout around 1000 to 1020 on extreme daily charts. So what we are looking at is an upside of 1080 to 1100 in the short term. And given that the view is extreme short term, say a month's horizon, I would suggest the trader to reduce positions around 1060 to 1080 and then hold on to the rest of it with a stop loss at 1010.
All right, so that's the advice coming in from Nuresh. Exit at about 1060, 1080 odd levels. But we must give you a standard disclaimer that Reliance Industries owns Network 18 and TV 18, the companies that run this our channel. Let's take a quick break on that note. We'll come back in a bit and focus on some more stock queries. Do stay tuned to your stocks.
We are trading in the green, but it's a nervous looking screen. So just take a look at the intraday chart of the Nifty. You'll see we have come off the high point of the day. Asian Paints is one stock that we were spotting earlier. Take a look at Vedanta. That stock as well was doing quite well, but it's given up all its gains. Just pull up that stock as well and pull up Power Grid. That stock in fact has come in for some selling pressure. So the intraday chart of all these stocks should be up for you on the screen. And from the broader markets as well, we were talking about the relative outperformance, but there are certain stocks that are coming for selling pressure. So you pull up something like a CED, just take a look at the intraday chart. It was trading in the green just around 10 minutes ago. Now in fact that stock is trading in the red. We have stocks like Wockhardt as well that slipped closer to 1% from the high point of the day, and maybe you can pull up JSPL as well. I think in the last 10 minutes the stock has slipped closer on 2% from the top. It was sitting with a gain of roughly around 7%. Currently in fact it's sitting with some gains, that stock as well. So it's a nervous looking screen, though we'll take any kind of green with the kind of selling that we've seen in 2016 itself. But let's get to our next caller. We have Devendra who calls us and in fact he has investments in Ashok Leyland. Hi sir, good afternoon. What's your query?
Yeah, actually, I have a 500 quantity of Ashok Leyland at 53 rupees. So I just want to know that shall I wait or what?
All right, and what's your time span, sir, that you can hold these stocks?
Hold for next 5 years.
5 years. All right. Thanks so much for calling in. By the way, we have Greenply Industries that's come out with their numbers. Net profit at around 35 crores. I have some estimates that we have over here. 27 crores was the estimate that Antique had. So that appears that it's come in much better. It appears like a good performance. That's the only number we're working with, by the way, currently. So let's wait. By the top line expectation was at around 407 crores. So let's see what they have done on the top line itself, and margins as well were expected to come in steady at around 13.7%. So I'm trying to open up the release up.
This would be a good set of numbers, Nigel, because for this company, the second half is set to be better than the first half anyway. So, in the first half of FY16, they've already done a profit of about 54 crores, and H2 is generally stronger. So full year PAT is actually seen at about 122 crores, so of which they've done about 35 crores now. Is it the number that you got?
Yeah, so yes, on the top line itself, we were estimating a number of around 407 407 crores. I mean, that's an antique estimate that we are working with. It's coming at around 422 crores. So that as well is looking quite good. EBITDA, I think we were estimating closer towards towards 56 crores. So let's see what that number. In fact, the stock is sitting with a gain of around 4%. It's looking quite good, having some problems here opening that, but it appears a good set of numbers because top line beat, bottom line beat. Let's see whether or not the operational performance was as good. So we'll get the operating profit in fact up for you shortly, but it goes down as a good set of numbers because we were estimating a growth of only around 3.5% on the top line. It's shown a growth of around 7%. Interesting to see whether or not beyond the operational performance, whether there were any one-offs, because it's a big beat if you take a look at it in comparison. EBITDA at around 65 crores. So that as well looks fairly good. We were working with the number of around 56 crores. Those numbers will go down as a good set of numbers on all parameters. Top, margins as well as bottom line.
I think it would be MDF actually, which is their medium density fireboard, the segment which would actually have boosted performance, because we were expecting that this time around the margin expansion would be likely in that segment. In fact, for plywood, we've seen demand outlook to be a little bit weak. There could be margin weakness there as well. So let's see which of the two have actually done better. The expectation is that it would be MDF, which is actually 15.4% margins are looking extremely good. They had done 13.5% actually in the comparable quarter. So from that 15.4 is actually looking really good, and the stock once again picking up pace from there.
All right then, so those numbers look quite good. They in fact are getting a good reward as well from the street, sitting with a gain of around 4% as we speak. Just a couple of more details. The plywood business, in fact, over there they've delivered numbers of around 290 crores. So that's quite good, mildly better than what Antique was estimating. And I think even on the MDF business, it's coming at around 130 crores, 129 crores. I think the estimate was at around 123 crores. So good going on that particular counter. But let's get back then to the query that we had on hand. We had Devendra who called us from Mumbai. He had investments in Ashok Leyland. He had a 5-year time horizon. So let's go across to our experts then. Mayuresh, what's your take?
Nigel, with the 5-year horizon, absolutely it's on hold. Clearly, the MHCV segment has seen a turnaround for the better part of this year, and the expectations for the coming fiscal again is a volume growth in excess of 16 to 18%. Having said that, I think the market share that Ashok Leyland has is close to around 29.5%, and those market share gains are seen to be kept on adding. So clearly, I think if you're talking about market share gains happening and the LCV, which has been a weak link in the consolidated numbers for Ashok Leyland, once that starts contributing, which we've seen an initial sign of, clearly I think the consolidated numbers will appear much better. Secondly, I think the input cost deflation effect that we've probably seen in a lot of auto companies will play out very effectively for Ashok Leyland. So our own take is margins to settle anywhere between 11 and 12% for the greater part of the coming year as well. So I think volumes picking up, operating leverage benefits coming through, and the discounting probably it stands around 2,25,000 odd rupees per unit. I think you're probably seeing the peak happening on that front as well. From a valuation perspective at the current juncture, our take is it trades around 10.3, 10.4 times EV/EBITDA, which is quite reasonable considering the kind of earnings growth that one really expects. So clearly hold out to the stock. I think the stock can give tremendous returns over that 5-year time horizon.
All right, up next we have Mr. Digambar Rao, who is joining us on the line from Karnataka. Hi sir, how can we help you?
Yes, madam. Madam, I am Vedanta is purchased from 80 rupees. Is below level from 70 is there present, madam. What happened? I shall wait or sold, madam. So,
and your time horizon is short, I understand?
Yes, madam. Tell me.
Your time horizon, you're looking at just a month?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Nuresh, for the next 1 month, how is Vedanta looking to you?
So technically Vedanta had a lot of supports around 78 to 80 levels for the last 6 to 12 months, and in that zone that has broken in the last few days. So any rise to closer to 76 to 80 should be used as an exit. At the same time, on the downside, a stop loss could be placed at 65. So as of now, the stock is an exit on higher levels.
Okay, then exit on higher levels, but in fact the Nifty as well has come off the top of the day, and it's that kind of market because just take a look at Greenply Industries on another day, the kind of beat we have seen there, that stock should have run away. Currently, if you take a look at it, that stock, in fact, just an example, it's come off the high point of the day, currently sitting with a gain of around 2.5%. At the peak, it was sitting with a gain of around 5%. But it's that kind of market we are in. So let's slip into a short break as we slip into that break. But let's hear out some fundamental picks that were recommended by Prakash Diwan.
Saturn is basically the largest MFI in the northern Indian market and probably the 5th or 6th largest on a countrywide basis. It got listed in 96 but only on regional exchanges. It's just last year October that they got listed on the NSE and the BSE. So you don't really have a history in terms of what people would know about, but financially the company's got a stellar history. I mean, the operational history is very rich. It has a presence now across 13 states. It's very encouraging to see the kind of metrics that they've achieved. They've already done about close to 240 crores of revenue this 6 months.
Welcome back. Nifty still holding on to gains, but just take a look at Infosys. There's some profit booking coming to that stock. Early part of the day it was sitting with a gain of around 2%. Currently it's on the verge of moving into the red. Even SBI should come up for you. That's the intraday chart of Infosys, one of the leaders when the Nifty was crumbling apart. Now in fact it appears some traders saying let's take some money off the table. SBI as well has come off the top, though the Nifty is still holding with some gains of around 80 points. I think Wockhardt as well deserves some mention because that stock had spiked up in the last 1 hour odd. It's recovered a good 8-9% from the low point of the day. But that one as well is suddenly seeing some profit booking moved into the red as well. But let's get to maybe our final query of today. We have Subhash who calls us from Mumbai. He has investments in Tata Elxsi. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon, Mr. Subhash. How can we help you? What's your query?
Tata Elxsi, I buy 2,100 rupees.
Oops, all right.
Before 15 days, 1 month before.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do I do?
All right, Mr. Agarwal, I hope you have a longer term time horizon as well. You bought one of the big winners in the last couple of years. Unfortunately, you bought it at the top, but you have you can hold it for a few years.
Few years, no?
Can you hold it? That's my question.
I hold it.
You can. All right. Let's come across to Naresh. Naresh, what do you think? I remember the stock, it moved so well in the last couple of years, went to around 2,100. Unfortunately, Mr. Agarwal has bought it at 2,100. Now he's sitting on a bit of a loss. He wants to hold it for the longer term. Should he?
So technically, Tata Elxsi on a longer term basis is on a uptrend. In the near term, we have a lot of supports around 1550 to 1600 levels. So I would consider it a buy at current levels with a stop at 1550 and continue to hold it for medium term. So I would suggest a hold at current levels.
All right, up next, Prakash Hebbar writes to us from Mangalore. He says he has 100 shares in L&T, which he has bought at the rate of 1720. He's a long-term investor and wants to know what he should, whether he should remain invested or book out. He is retired. He's 63 years old. Mayuresh, what would you advise him to do?
Well, clearly, somewhere I think the stock has underperformed, and for obvious reasons. You're seeing two of their divisions, including heavy engineering and the metallics division, not doing well. Add to that, I think the fall in crude prices probably entail that the hydrocarbons business would again probably suffer or remain soft over the next few quarters. Having said that, probably I think in terms of the revision of guidance, both in terms of order flows to 5 to 7% and revenue guidance lowered as well to 10 to 15%. Our own take is that we've lowered our FY17 numbers both in terms of top line by 5%, bottom line by 6%, close to 6,150 odd crores. Clearly, I think it's one stock that can do extremely well in terms of the capex recovery cycle. Whether that is going to happen soon, probably not. So I think another couple of quarters, to say the least, is when one really expects the capex cycle to start picking up meaningfully. So clearly, I think L&T would reflect a lot in terms of how the credit cycle picks up, and it's a key parameter on that aspects as well. So clearly, in terms of valuations, I think on a SOTP basis, you've got non-core assets including L&T Infotech probably getting listed over the next few quarters. You're probably looking at divestments on the real estate arm. You're probably looking at our holding company discount on the L&T finance arm. But clearly, on an SOTP valuation, I think the stock looks attractively priced at this point of time. So the stock might underperform for the next couple of quarters, but if the investor has a time horizon of more than 15 months, clearly I think this is one stock that one probably can remain within the infrastructure stroke construction space.
All right, on that note, Mayuresh, Nuresh, thanks very much for joining in and for advising our viewers. We'll wrap up on your stock. Stay tuned for closing bell.